don't know what to say. I don't know how to start this off. This is my first ever YouTube video, and I've been sitting here for like 5 minutes trying to figure out what to say. First off, hi, I'm Echo. So this video is going to be one of those old school Minecraft videos where I tell funny stories about things that happen to me and then put gameplay in the background. I have been wanting to make a Minecraft video since I was about 10 years old, and I'm almost 18, so almost 8 years, almost a decade. So yeah, any support's really appreciated, and make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and enjoy. So when I was 16, I wanted to start working because I wanted my own pocket money, and I thought it'd be fun, you know, get in a little retail experience. So I started applying for jobs, and I actually applied to Barnes & Noble first, but they were like, nah, you're too lame, you can't work here. And so I was like, damn, okay. So I started applying to other jobs, and then one of my friends at the time was like, hey, this place over here is hiring, and it's really close to the school, so you can walk there. So I was like, okay, sure. And I applied, and within like 24 hours, I think they responded. So I became a cashier at, I don't know if I can say the name, so let's just call it Point. Let's just call it Point for now. The general experience of working at Point wasn't too awful. The managers were pretty chill, the pay was decent, it didn't get too busy, so I was like, okay, you know, I'm vibing with this. This first story takes place around Halloween, where I was scanning this lady's stuff, and she had a pumpkin, so I, boop, scan the pumpkin, you know, move on. And then after I get done with her, I'm in the middle of trying to help the next customer who is like asking me about something, and I'm trying to stand there listening to her, and then this other lady cuts in, she's like, excuse me, this pumpkin rang up for $4.99 instead of $3.20. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I didn't know if the price was different, you know, that's my bad, I actually don't know how to give you a refund, so I don't know how I can help you. Maybe go to customer service, because I'd only been working there for a month, right? And I was like 16. So this lady looks me up and down, and she starts yelling at me in front of everyone. Like, I've got a line of 10 people, and here she is standing here complaining about her $1 extra pumpkin. Like, oh my gosh, you are so incompetent. You are so awful. I'm gonna report to your manager. Where's your manager? And I was standing there, and I started crying because I didn't know how else to respond in that situation. So I just burst out into tears, and the next lady in line was like, what the hell? Why are you yelling at a teenager? My other coworker, who was awesome, he's like, oh, I can help you over here. And she just stood there complaining to him about how incompetent I was. He had only been working there for 3 days, by the way. They taught him how to do a return, but they didn't teach me how to do a return. Basically, working in retail is, here's the basic stuff. If you don't pick it up in a week, you're screwed. A lot of retail employees will complain about the holidays. This is just personally, it doesn't apply to everyone, but I didn't mind it too much because it was always busy, so like you were always focused on scanning stuff. The holiday stuff, sometimes interesting to see what people get, like, you know, those 12-foot skeletons, we didn't sell those. But I imagine if you're working at Home Depot and you're a cashier and you see someone pull up, you're just like, fun. You know, it spices up your day. Seeing what people buy spices up your day. Especially if it's like one of those weird looking Christmas trees. If you get what I mean. So it definitely wasn't too bad during the holidays. Black Friday and Christmas kept it very interesting. But our store didn't play holiday music, thank God. Otherwise, I think I would have torn my ears off. But there was this guy who would stand outside for hours with an accordion. He was actually pretty good. He was one of those guys who was like asking for money, right? And so I get it. Like, it's Christmas, you need money for your family. Okay, cool. But he would stand out there with an accordion for like 4 hours. He would only play 2 songs, and I think it was 1,000 Years by Christina Perri and The Shape of You by Ed Sheeran, which weren't even holiday songs, first of all. But I think after the first hour or so, I kind of started to go insane because I would be trying to help a guest, and then I would just hear. I think that's what torture is. You strap a retail worker to a table and you force them to listen to 1,000 Years in Shape of You cover by an accordion. I think that's what torture is. I think that's equal to like that torture where the goats will lick your feet with salt. Now the story that you guys were all here for. This was probably in November 2021, where I was working an early morning shift, so it was probably like 9 something, and a lady is in the store with her kid, and this kid is throwing a tantrum, and I'm like, okay, you know, that's pretty normal, so I'm kind of minding my own business, and then this kid starts to scream louder and louder, and I was scanning someone else's thing, like this lady was in another line with her kid, and I was scanning these other people's stuff, and I was like, oh, haha, someone's having a good day, right? You know, just being a little silly about it. And then, all of a sudden, I hear a boom, and this kid had burst open a huge, like, you know those Halloween things of candy? He had burst open one of those. Candy went everywhere. Like, it took, like, it was insane how far it went. Like, I was probably in aisle, like, 8 or something, lane 8, and it went all the way down to 1. So this kid was having a pretty powerful tantrum, right? I step out of my line for a moment, and me and my coworker start to pick up the mess. This mom takes her kid outside to go talk to him. And while I'm cleaning up the candy, this other lady comes up, and she's like, hey, I'm gonna pay for that mom's stuff. She's outside talking with her kid. Can you go let her know? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. That's so nice of you, yeah. So I stand up and I go talk to this lady like, she's not even 10 feet from the store. Like, she's right outside the door talking to her kid, who is still fighting her, by the way. Like, he is still fighting tooth and nail. I kind of read the situation. I'm like, I don't know if I should interrupt her right now, but I also don't want her to leave if some other lady's buying her stuff. Like, I didn't really know how to react to the situation. So the kid seems to have calmed down slightly, and so I go to the mom, and I'm like, hey, this lady has offered to pay for your stuff, and the mom is like, oh my gosh, that's so nice of her, but she doesn't have to. And then, while we're in the middle of talking, this kid freaking charges me like a bull. Like, I get tunnel vision. This kid is charging towards me. And so, I have a really slow reaction time to things, but what I did do is I put out my arm. I thought he was going to start pounding me with his fists, like get up close to me and start pounding me with his fists. So I put out my arm to keep him away from my body. And this kid, instead of, like, you know, fighting a little bit and then just, I don't know, giving up or something, latches onto my arm like he's freaking Hannibal Lecter. I hear a crunch. This kid is bitten so hard that my skin crunched. I kind of freeze because I don't know how to react to the situation. Like, I had just been bit by a 9-year-old. I don't know what to do in this situation. So I kind of just freeze, and I kind of just stand there, and then the mom runs up, and she, like, has to pry her kid's mouth off of me because he grabbed on so hard. He didn't draw blood, thankfully. Human bites are one of the most worst bites you can get because of how dirty the mouth is. So the mom pries him off me, and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And I was just kind of standing there in shock. I'm gonna be honest, I did start crying, and the mom was also crying, and this kid was still trying to get at me. I'm like, can you stay here? I'm gonna go inside and get my manager. And so I walk inside, and I'm like, hey, and my manager's like, hey, are you okay? Because she noticed, like, I'm like freaked out, and I'm like, I just got attacked by a 9-year-old, and she was like, oh. They send me upstairs to go get first aid. Thankfully, he didn't draw blood, or anything, so I sanitize it and then put a bandage on it, just in case. It's like badly bruised though. Like, even to this day, over a year later, I went to the doctor to kind of talk about it, and he was like, yeah, you have a permanent scar on your arm. Fun. the mom and her kid actually left. So to this day, I don't know what happened to them or what's going on. But what I can tell you is that I was talking to my manager about it a little bit later. And then she told me that actually that mom and that child had come into the store before. And that she purposefully took him into a place that made him freak out. Like, so, sometimes people suffer with being able, with like bright lights and noises, right? And so this kid couldn't handle being in the store. He would get overstimulated and freaked out, and his mom would take him in there anyway, because this kid had apparently had problems with being aggressive before. That doesn't make me mad at the kid. That makes me pissed at the mom, because why would you, as an adult, take your child into a place you know that he can't handle, and then ends up hurting other people? That child was probably like 7 and 9 years old. That's not his fault. That's his mom's fault. So, after that, I decided to go home early because I kind of felt sick to my stomach, and I didn't really want to have to deal with that all day. So my dad took me home. That's a really fun story to tell at parties and stuff, because people will be like, you got bit by a freaking 9-year-old? Like, I got my butt handed to me by a 9-year-old. That's crazy. I'm 5'11". This child beat the crap out of me. I hope both the mom and the kid are okay, if they're out there. No hate to them. I just thought it was a funny story to tell. And after probably a year after that of working there, I did end up quitting. Super excited to make more content and maybe more Storytime videos. If this does well, I'll consider more Storytime videos. That's probably one of my funnier stories. Or not funnier, that's actually quite horrific, but that's probably one of my better stories. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like, subscribe. Love you guys. Thank you. Bye.